So I always have the same problem. I never know what I want to talk about. And there's so much stuff that I could talk about around mental health. But it's just like as soon as I get out the camera or I start brainstorming about the topic I want to talk about, it's just like, And then once I figure out a topic, it's like, how am I going to present it? How am I going to title it? What do I want to talk about? How can I make this relatable? So this week we're going to talk about anxiety because God just seems to always find a way for me to bring topics to you all. And anxiety came to me because I am currently fighting my anxiety. This week I have been clearing from the Army and it has been triggering anxiety in me. Why is it triggering anxiety? Because last year I was clearing from Fort Hood because I was supposed to be moving to Virginia to go to school. But while I was supposed to be clearing, I was having my stroke. And it was terrible. Like, it was so terrible. I was literally trying my best to go through and clear. And I did, get halfway through it. But I don't even remember bits and pieces of those days because I was in so much pain. And I literally have to go through the same building, sit in the same rooms for the same briefing, see the same people currently. And it is giving me textbook symptoms of anxiety. So what better way to bring that attention than to talk about it? So I was diagnosed with general anxiety disorder. And I'm going to talk to you about the different types of anxiety. But just keep that in mind when I tell you, these symptoms because I was facing those things. So anxiety is the most popular mental disorder that is caused and is seen in the United States. So why does it happen? How does it happen? So it's really 4 things: genetics, your brain chemistry, your personality, and then life events. So these things come together and they just form anxiety. So there's different types of anxiety disorders. The most common one is generalized anxiety disorder, and then phobias is the other thing. And a lot of people actually don't think that phobias is a disorder, but it really is. So I'm going to tell you how common it is because a lot of people don't know how common it is to have anxiety. So 40 million people, U.S. adults, 40 million United States adults, 18 and older, are diagnosed yearly with anxiety. Only 36.9% of those people receive treatment. And the craziest part about it is it's curable. But it can't be cured if nobody goes to treatment. People with anxiety are 3 to 5 times more likely to go to the hospital. And they can be for various different reasons, but anxiety does affect your body. And then out of people who have anxiety, they're 6 times more likely to be hospitalized for a psychiatric issue or disorder. And again, that goes back to treatment, because if you get the treatment that you need, it won't happen. So generalized anxiety disorder, it comes from you having anxiety or you worrying about something for more than 6 months. And it's not every day, but it's just lingering issues. And this can come from many things, This could come from a traumatic experience. This could come from just anything, really. But it happens to you almost every day. So this comes from personal health, work, social situations, and it can cause problems in those same things. So if an event happened at work, it may cause you to have anxiety about going to work. If something happened in your personal life, like your dating life, then you'll have anxiety about dating in the future. If you have issues with your health, then you'll have anxiety about going to the doctors. Or if you have issues with social interactions, you'll have anxiety because you had that issue before. So some symptoms are restlessness, or you're on edge. You're, just rowdied up. You're easily fatigued. You have difficulty concentrating. You're irritable. Just anything can set you off. You have tension in your muscles. You have difficulty controlling your feeling of worry. And then you have sleep problems. And they happen so often to people who have anxiety, who may not know they have anxiety, but the symptoms oftentimes just go unnoticed or untreated. And when you heard me read the symptoms, you probably think, dang, I suffer from those as well, in conjunction with suffering from, something that happened in my past or something triggered it. You might have anxiety and don't even know it. So 6.8 million Americans suffer from generalized anxiety, and that's every year. That's a large number of people, but sometimes people don't even know. So then panic disorder. So panic disorder is reoccurrent panic attacks, and they normally happen suddenly and they last less than 5 minutes or so, but they happen suddenly and then they end shortly. So with this, it called some of the symptoms are heart palpitations, or you're breathing heavier, your heart is beating faster, you're sweating or you're trembling, you have trouble breathing, and then you have other feelings like you can't stop worrying about that, or you just feel like something's gonna happen. So panic attacks, they suck really bad because the person who has panic attacks oftentimes gets a panic attack because they're trying to prevent a panic attack. So it's so hard for people to work through them because they're constantly worrying and then causing themselves to have another panic attack. And it's unfortunate because a lot of people feel like panic attacks are just in people's mind and it's not real, but it really is real. And it just takes knowledge and then treatment, and it'll get better. So 6 million Americans are diagnosed with panic disorder every year, which is crazy because it's like, that's a lot of people. So then phobia related disorders. So phobia is an intense fear or of aversion to a specific object or situation. And with that means there's irrational worry. So this can come from specific things. A lot of times people say like snakes or, heights or stuff like that. So they will avoid the object or the situation. They will experience intense anxiety upon the encounter. They'll worry tremendously about everything that can happen. And then they'll have the fear of the unknown because they're afraid that they might get put into that situation that they're afraid of. So 19 million people have phobias. They're diagnosed with a phobia or they experience a phobia. 19 million people every year. It's crazy. 19 million people. That is a lot of people. That's almost half of the people who have anxiety disorder have a phobia. So then there's social anxiety disorder. This has affected 15 million people. 15 million people have social anxiety. So this means they will get anxiety in social situations, so they may avoid social situations. Then there is selective mutism. So this affects children ages 5 and below. So with this, when they're in certain social situations, they'll just shut down out of nowhere. They'll just completely shut down. And that's, they can't control this. And people think like, oh, something's wrong with my child. There is, but you have to get them to the treatment that they need. Separation anxiety disorder. A lot of times people say they have separation anxiety, but they just think that's just a term. But it's an actual disorder. So in order for them to get treated, they have to go in and get the help that they need. And a lot of times people feel like kids are the only people that have separation anxiety, but adults have it too. And so separation anxiety, basically you have a fear of being separated from a person that you've been attached to, or been around for a long time. And it can be treated, but it has to, you know, you have to go in to get that treatment. And then agoraphobia, agoraphobia. That is fear of public spaces. So these people, they will completely avoid a public space because they are afraid of, again, the unknown. This could be somebody bumping into them, people getting in their personal space. They'll avoid, you know, going to the movies. They'll avoid going places where people, you know, there's a lot of people going to be in. And these are just some of the things, you know. There are so many different types of anxiety disorders, but I just wanted to kind of just give you some knowledge on those things. And then another one, obsessive compulsive disorder, that falls under anxiety as well, and that affects 2.2 million people. So anxiety is more common than we think, but it's treatable, and we need people to acknowledge that they do have anxiety and get the treatment that they need so that we can prevent these numbers from getting higher. It's a lot of people have it and their friends may downplay them, but it's very common. So I say all this to say, if you feel like you may have anxiety, get treatment, you know, talk to somebody about it. Just work on these things. Anxiety is so downplayed because it has different levels. It could be low, it could be high, but in all, it affects you. It affects your mind. It affects how you think. So as always, I hope that something that I've said has, you know, maybe motivated you to get treatment you need, or talk to somebody about something, or even you may have recognized signs that you've had in some of your friends. And hopefully this will trigger a conversation. They may help somebody get some help. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Please like this video if you did like it. Comment below with any suggestions that you may have. And again, just thank you so much for watching this video.